And I have Kim with me today. Kim, thanks for joining me for a little interview, a little chit chat. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Good. We were just talking, gang, that Kim was like, I haven't closed a deal yet. And I'm like, you know what? The whole point of this is to showcase people who are at different stages of the journey. And the reason that I picked Kim to showcase right now is because of her activity in the group and her activity out in the field. She has shown immense intentionality. She has followed the steps that have been provided. She's been following the homework. She's been following the guidance and the advice given. And it's starting to use her words, if I can quote you, it's starting to click. Is that right?
Yes, it's starting to click.
It's exciting. It's exciting. So we're very, very excited. And I wish everyone had Kim's level of intentionality. So Kim, again, thank you for being an example of that and setting the bar of what it means to be intentional and pursuing your dreams and your focus. Seriously.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's a lot easier too when you have a backing, because the group of people and just going back and forth, it's like, all right, well, if I wasn't being intentional, now I have to be intentional, So
there's kind of that, like that little competition, that little kind of accountability, huh?
Daily reminders. So
yes, that's good. Well, Kim, tell me a little bit about why you decided to pursue real estate. What got you in?
So I actually did recruiting for about 7 years, and I decided that it was time for a change. I wanted something that would still allow me to make as much money as I was making, but at the same time have more time for myself, have more time back.
Yeah.
And I came across the book, If You Can't Wholesale After This. And I listened to it. I can't just sit. So I actually listened to it on Audible while I worked out at the gym. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if Todd did it, I could do it. And then I researched a little more into real estate, and I was like, this wholesaling thing is brilliant. And that's really how it started. It was really a book that I read that somebody recommended. So
nice. I mean, it's a good book. I don't blame
book.
It's a very.
I'm on the third time listening to it too. So.
Nice. Very impactful, and it's laid out in a way that for anybody can follow. And like the title says, if you can't wholesale after this, I've got nothing for you, because it's
exactly
all out, right? So
it's still kind of. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It also kind of, it lines up also the ability to help people as well as I do it. So it's like, yes, I'm still going to be making money. And my whole thing was recruiting. So I help people find jobs, and I help them match jobs and companies with people. So now now it's finding homes and buyers and matching that all up, which is really what I like. So
and that's recruiting cool that you've been able to see, like, how you can correlate the skill set you've already built in your career to real estate. And you found an avenue that kind of marries those two.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I think that there are skill sets that we all have that correlate directly, that's built in a career or whatever, that correlate more than we realize. So the fact that you've been able to identify 100%. That so early on and be able to pursue that, that's awesome. And it's inspiring. And that's, again, one of the reasons why we're talking today.
Thank you.
So you are focusing on wholesaling, and you live in what state again?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. So you're in New Jersey. Fantastic. Yes. Yep. And you came into the kingdom, and what's been your experience so far being in the kingdom? I know you mentioned like the support school, but like, what's been your experience, just so people can get an inside look at what you've had as your experience?
So far it's been great. It's really just a community of people that have, so really the brains, right? Because I knew nothing about real estate other than the house that I bought. So just learning with everybody and having the experience to back it up. In recruiting, I had a lot of clients that I still talk to now because they're in the real estate industry. Mm-hmm. And they talk to me and they're like, well, you don't really know anything about real estate. So I get to say, well, I work with a team of professionals that are teaching me everything. And if I don't know something, I have, my team that can back me up. Yeah. So it's really like that extended piece of my business where if I really didn't know anything 3 months ago. And now, I'm able to bring that jargon that I've learned through the book, through the community, through the classes to my meetings. And it sounds like I know what I'm talking about when really I'm just getting on the Thursday night call saying, this is what happened. What do I
Yeah.
do? So
Well, and
it's been a lot of help.
good. Well, and the reality is just so you know, the reality is you actually do know more than you think you do. And from my experience that, because we've been doing this for a while, when you can be as intentional as you have been going through and learning and then taking action, the reality is that you have developed a knowledge around real estate that exceeds most of the population, even people who work in real estate. The reason being is that you are being intentional trying to learn and you're hungry for that. And you're trying to learn multiple facets of real estate so that you can see different perspectives. Most people that come into real estate have a one-track mind. Like, I'm going to become a realtor,
Right.
as an example, right? Or I'm going to learn how to fix roofs, or I'm going to be an insurance agent, right? So they have this one-track mind. When you come in at it from an investor perspective, and then especially with going through, Kingdom, Axiom, et cetera, like, you start developing a perspective that is not normal for the industry. And what you're going to find after you've gotten the proof in the pudding a little bit in yourself of like, oh, I do know what I'm talking about. Then you're gonna be like, oh, I know more than like 90% of the people I'm talking to.
Yeah.
This is kind of
And
exciting.
it's felt like that recently. I feel like now it's like, oh, you could do it this way, or we could do it that way, or, and people are like, oh, she knows what she's talking about.
See?
Like,
See,
honestly, I do.
See? Thanks for proving my point. I appreciate it. That's exciting. So right now the focus is you've developed some relationships with title companies, or New Jersey is a closing attorney state, aren't they?
Yes, we use titles companies.
Oh, you do use title.
Yeah,
Okay.
title.
So you've done that. You have buyers. You've been pursuing sellers.
Correct.
Is that correct? And then I know that you had one that was on the line. And so you're at this stage where like you're starting to fill your pipeline. Like that's really kind of the stage that you're in. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
The buyer part for me was very easy because I feel like I had the connections and the partnerships already with so many people and investors. So that part for me was like, oh, this is so easy. So for me now, it's really just getting those houses under contract to be able to offer those to my buyers. So that's what in the stage of the game I'm at.
You literally went right into my question. I was going to ask like, which one did you think was the hardest? And which one did you think was the easiest? So buyers was very easy for you because of the network you already had.
Correct. Yeah. For me, the buyers were easier just because I had a lot of real estate connections and people I know. And I'm also not afraid to just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, this is what I do. How can I help you? But for like right now, the challenge has been really connecting with those sellers and having them give me a tour of their house at least to even, be able to make an offer. So
sure. Yeah. Cause that's going to be a new experience because with the calling, I would imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that skill set probably came from the recruiting side because you have to make a lot of calls and it's a lot of like, what are you looking for? Like, how can I help you? Like where do I need to make the connections? It's kind of more of a business to business type conversation.
Right.
But then when it comes to sellers, that makes sense to me because it's more of a conversation of, hey, I need to come physically be there.
Right.
So I can evaluate the house to determine if I can even help.
Correct.
That's a bit of a different dynamic than just recruiting.
Right. That's for me has been a learning curve because at this point I have to build a rapport with them on the phone and on a personal level versus just what the service I can provide. They don't see it yet because everybody's calling them to buy their house. So I have to figure out how to differentiate myself. And I feel like, a lot of the calls that we've had with the trainings and the group of people, especially, other people that are in the same boat doing the cold calling, telling me what they say has helped me. And I feel like this week especially has been smoother.
Nice. That's awesome. So it's just making those progressions every day, every week, trying to get better. That's good. I was about to ask what have you found to be the most helpful in making that transition to be more on the personal side rather than transactional or the direction side, if you will.
Right. So I think learning what I learned last week has really hit home is like say less, and listen to them more, let them talk more about themselves.
Yeah.
That's really been like, it's like magic. It's like, how are you doing today? And then pause, not going right into my speech.
Not doing the whole word vomit, like,
No. But getting that information from people that are currently doing it and have seen success in the business. So, it's not just I heard it on YouTube and I don't really know the outcome. It's like I get to talk to live people that are in the same boat they were in the same boat that I am now 5-10 years ago. They were starting off as well. So it's real people, real connections, and you can ask follow-up questions.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is really just building, like you said earlier, I'm building a relationship.
Correct. Right.
And that takes a little bit of time to adapt to when that's the goal, especially if that's not your day-to-day, like your day-to-day job. But you're adapting well to it because you got that one deal that's on the line. And then I know there's the whole story behind that, but that's one of the indicators of it starting to click. Right?
Yes.
It's like, okay, this is starting to go smoother. This is starting to go better. I'm starting to build rapport. I'm starting to build relationships. I'm starting to have follow-up calls, etc.
Right. Correct.
That's awesome. So next step for you, continuing to build on that, continuing to develop and learn, and then just having more conversations and getting in more doors and then ultimately making more offers.
Correct. And that's really what's important. Just building the pipeline to have those people in the funnel and being able to have those conversations. So,
yeah. What would you say to somebody who's maybe like 2 months behind you, right? 2 or 3 months behind you, where they're just starting now that you've like built this initial inertia into, that's kind of the word I keep coming back to inertia recently, because it's like when you're on the playground, you got that carousel, the roundabout or whatever you call it. And like all the kids pile on and like you're left to push. Some people won't resonate with this. They're like, all the young kids will be like, what is a carousel? What the heck? But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're at the playground, you're pushing, and it's like, yeah, exactly. The merry-go-round. The merry-go-round. That's the word.
Yeah.
It's like really hard to push it because you're building inertia. And then when it gets easy, like you can't keep up with it anymore. You just have to stand there and like tap it. That's momentum, right? So you're on the tail end of building that inertia. So what advice would you give to somebody who's on the front end of that? The initial push.
So I would say, really just slow down, but don't stop. Because for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do it again. And I'm going to go do it again. And then it's like, you don't see results right away.
Yeah.
Or you don't get the call back right away. And you think, okay, it's not working. So I just going to try something else. But if you are consistent and just keep doing that same thing, you start to see things click. Like people, like I had the same list that I was calling for a month and I'm like, I don't think this is going anywhere. But now it's like, I'm getting somewhere. I'm talking to the bank. I'm talking to these people. So just, you have to, like, it's not going to be instant. Yeah. So you just have to be consistent, is really what it is.
Consistent and patient.
Correct. And I don't think I would have been as consistent and patient if I didn't hear you all telling me it or saying it over and over.
Sure. Well, because there's an element of like, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So if to your point of like, oh man, I called this whole list and I got one phone call back.
Right.
Or whatever. It's like, wow, I'm a failure. I did this wrong. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Or, man, that didn't work. I need to have a different strategy. And then you switch. That's actually not how you get results. It's to what you said of, I had to go back and do it again.
Right.
And I did it again. And it was the same thing. And it gets kind of mundane, but it's the same thing consistently over and over and over again. And then it starts producing.
Right. And then it's interesting because then you'll get the call and it's like, oh, you're that real estate person. And I'm like, yep, that's me.
That's me. That's my name. Real estate person.
It is working. It is working. You know who I am.
My real name is Kim, but I'll go with real estate person. That's fine. That'll work. That'll be fine. That's awesome. Well, Kim, I really appreciate you taking the time and just kind of chatting about your experience so far in real estate in the kingdom, and then just sharing that wisdom, because that's really what it is wisdom based upon your experience. And I think it's gonna help a lot of people who are just starting, going like, what do I do? And then they're gonna be like, oh, Kim said I just need to be patient and I need to just stay consistent with my activity and it's gonna produce. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited and happy to be a part of the group because it's just been a lot of support and it's, you know, though your friends to call when you're not sure what to do, but on the business side. So it's great.
Totally. Well, good.
Thank you.
Well, we love having you. It's fun that you're part of the family and we're looking forward to working with you for a very long period of time.
Thank you.
Forever. You're stuck with us now.
Forever.
Thank you, Kim. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See ya.
All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed what you just heard and I hope you got value out of it. If you would like to continue the conversation and see if you might be a good fit for our community, there's a waitlist down below. Check it out. We'll get in touch with you as soon as we can. Have a great day.